Today we're going to be matching tables, graphs, and expressions. And we've been working with tables and expressions, and we haven't been working with graphs too terribly much. We have in the past, so we're going to do a quick review on that and then show how we can express each one of these in a different format. We're going to go over some basics here. I know that when I write 2n plus 3, it's called an expression. And I can read that expression as, and I have a little trick with this. I like to add the phrase I'm going to, because it helps you get the phrasing right on this. So think of this in your head. I'm going to do what with this expression? I'm going to multiply n by 2. So if you look at this right there in that expression, we have n, and what do we do to it? We multiply it by 2, and then what do? We add 3. So when I say that phrase, I'm going to, you really don't have to write it, but we're going to practice that just to help get the phrasing right. So let's write that out. So I am going to multiply n by 2 and then add 3. And so this I'm going to part right here just kind of helps us get it into the right frame of mind when we're trying to get the word form. And they don't really call it that, but that's just a good way to say it. What they say is, how do you read it, or how would you say it? And so just a simple way to say that is word form. So here we have the table, and it says the table of 2n plus 3 would look like this. Now we need to fill some things in here. The position is going to be represented by the letter n. So, and when we talk about the position, we talk about the first in the sequence, the second in the sequence, the 80th in the sequence, the position that is in the sequence type of thing. So with this one, we're just going to do position 1, 2, 3, and 8. I'm going to skip some there. All right, so that's just the position in the order. An equation would have a definite answer. It has to match. An expression means that I can change the variable and make it mean different things. So we're going to substitute again like we did yesterday. So I have 2n plus 3. All I'm doing is copying that down. So now I'm going to take my first substitution, which is 1. And then I'm going to write the rest of my formula. And I know some of you can start doing this in your head, but let's write it out so we can practice where it goes to, so when it gets a lot bigger, we'll do better. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3, the answer to that is 5. So now I have to do the next substitution. So my formula is 2n plus 3, and I really should be saying my expression is. And so I'm going to substitute in. There we go, 2 in place of n. So that'll be 2. And then I'm going to copy everything else down. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 3, we have 7. So the value of that term when it's in the second, when n is the second, is 7. So let's see if you can figure this out. All right, I'm going to do the third one, 2n plus 3, substitute in, substitute 3 in for n, and then I'm going to add 3 to it. So that'd be 6 plus 3, 9. And so we skip here to the 8th position. So we have 2n plus 3, and so I substitute in for n. I'm sure that's getting confusing. Plus 3, so we have 16 plus 3, we have 19. So sometimes what you'll be seeing is, what is the 5th position or the 20th position in this expression? And so that is how you would go about substituting in. You would substitute in that number into this value. And if you notice, this is like an input-output again. This is representative of what you're traditionally used to as x, and that's traditionally what you're used to as y. Now we're going to graph this, and we do need these numbers for our graph. Okay, here's my graph. It says the graph of 2n plus 3 would look like this. And so we're going to need to graph it using those points from the table above or next to it. So as a reminder, we need to understand what our x and y is and how to read our coordinates. And just as a reminder, our x goes first and we go left or right, and then our y is up or down. And so when we start getting to the other quadrants, we would go left or right. So we do a horizontal and then a vertical. And so people like to think because it's the plane has to taxi before taking off. Whatever you learned in elementary school that helps you remember which way to go. A lot of times I will mark that X. I'll come over here and put X is this way, Y is this way. Or something that helps me remember. Whatever tricks work for you, that is okay. We need to study the graph and see what the units, how it's laid out, and where it goes. So let's look at this. We have 2, 4, 6, 8. What would that line be? 10, 12. It would keep going. It's counting by twos. And this is also counting by twos up this way. So that is important to realize because you need to understand how and what these extra lines in here would mean. So if this is 2, that means that halfway between 2 and the point of origin is 1. So let's go ahead and talk about that point of origin. The point of origin, the coordinates are always 0, 0. And that point is right there. It's right where those axes cross. So that point of origin is where you start counting from, whether you're going positive or negative, but right now we're only doing positive. So let's look at the table that we just filled out. Position 1 means I would come over 1, and then I need to go up 5. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I hit that point, what I want to do is put a dot there. So that is graphing position 1, the value is 5. So let's do 2. Start at my point of origin, 1, 2, and I'm going to come up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right there at that cross, I'm going to put a dot. Now these are not dots that we're going to be connecting, we're just plotting points. We're not plotting line segments, so these points are what's important. So our next one is 3. So start off your point of origin, 1, 2, 3, and go up 9. Well, since I'm getting more experienced at this, I can see that that is 8 right there, and so 9 would be 1 more. So I can put my point of origin right there. And I'm not going to graph 8 and 19 because, well, 8 would be here. 19 would be somewhere up in here. So we don't need to graph that one, but we graphing these points and we're seeing that there is a pattern to it. So here I want you to practice, and my thought with this is I want you to say I'm going to blank, blank, blank. So I want you to pause it for a minute and I want you to think I'm going to do what, and then write that out. I'm going to go ahead and model writing I'm going to. You can think it in your head, but you need to start thinking about how we're phrasing what we're doing. I don't want to hear n minus 3. So you're going to see how to do it. So pause and then check. So just to give you a little check right here. So I'm going to do what? I'm going to subtract 3 from n. All right, so to recap and to check, the first one is I'm going to subtract 3 from n. The second one, I'm going to multiply n by 8. And this third one is a little bit longer. I'm going to multiply n by 3 and then add 2. So flip to the back side. Do not have a fit when you see it, and I will explain in just a second. This may look wordy, but I'm going to read the directions with you because I know y'all don't reading your directions and you're just going to look at this and panic. I do not want you to panic, but I do want my screen to move. All right. So what I want you to do is to use those 3 expressions that we used on the front page that we wrote the word form for. And I want you to see which one of these tables matches it. I want you to see which one of these graphs matches it. And what I did is I gave you A, B, C, D choices, and D is none of the above. So to figure out if it goes with the chart, you're going to have to pick some values and substitute it in and see which one works. You are also going to need to do the same thing using these plot points, or maybe creating plot points, or seeing if this, writing the coordinates. This is 1 and that's, what would that be? Well, I'm not going to say. Anyway, and so really you're doing some thinking and you just have to circle the answer. And notice this, we will go over this in class as the warm-up, all right? So don't panic. It's really not as long as you thought. Everything is laid out there for you. You're more evaluating it. And so do it and we'll go over it. And then we're going to be practicing in class. High five, people.